It was pouring rain on the highway, the kind of night where headlights blurred into ghostly streaks and the world felt like it was holding its breath. Mark, a single dad with a 6-year-old daughter asleep in the back seat, squinted through the windshield as he navigated the slippery road on his way home from his second job. That's when he saw her. A woman in a soaked wedding dress, barefoot, shivering, and flagging down cars that kept speeding past. Her gown was torn, her makeup ruined by tears and rain. Without thinking twice, Mark pulled over. "Are you okay?" he asked, rolling down the window. The woman hesitated, then nodded, hugging herself tightly. "Can you take me anywhere but here?" Something in her voice wasn't just desperate, it was broken. Mark looked in the rearview mirror at his sleeping daughter, then back at the drenched stranger. "Hop in." She climbed in, clutching the soaked fabric of her ruined wedding gown. She smelled of roses and rain and something else, fear. Mark turned up the heat and drove in silence for a while. "I'm Mark," he offered. "Claire," she replied, barely above a whisper. Claire didn't say much that night. Mark gave her his jacket, let her dry off at his modest 2-bedroom rental, and offered her the couch. He didn't ask questions, he knew what it felt like to be running from something. He had been running from grief for years, ever since his wife passed away from cancer, leaving him with a baby girl and no idea how to raise her. The next morning, Claire was gone. But she left a note, "Thank you. I didn't know kindness still existed. I'll return this coat. I promise." Mark didn't expect to see her again. But 2 weeks later, she showed up at his doorstep, clean, composed, in jeans and a sweater, holding his jacket. She had a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "I owe you an explanation," she said. Claire was supposed to marry Nicholas Grayson, a billionaire hotel heir. The wedding had been a media circus. But standing at the altar, she saw the life she was about to be trapped in, one of cold luxury, pre-written roles, and a man who didn't love her, only claimed her. "I felt like a possession. Not a person," she said. "So I ran." Mark listened, not judging. His life couldn't have been more different, blue-collar, paycheck to paycheck, raising his daughter Emily with nightly storybooks instead of nannies. What began as awkward coffee turned into regular visits. Claire helped Emily with her homework, cooked simple dinners, and learned how to budget like an ordinary person. She said it was freeing. Mark found himself smiling more. Laughing. Living. But it wasn't simple. Paparazzi eventually tracked Claire down. Cameras waited outside Mark's home. News headlines read, "Runaway bride hiding with working-class widower." Mark lost one of his jobs because of the media attention. Emily came home from school crying when other kids teased her about her rich new mom. Claire felt guilty. "I ruined your life." "No," Mark said gently. "You reminded me I still had one." Still, Claire couldn't hide forever. Nicholas wasn't just a jilted fiancé, he was a man of influence. His team sent legal threats. Her bank accounts were frozen. Her parents demanded she come home and apologize publicly. That's when Claire made a choice. She held a press conference. No managers. No script. Just her. "I'm not ashamed for running. I'm not property. I'm not a brand. I'm a woman who finally chose herself," she said, her voice strong and steady. "And I'm in love, with freedom, with a little girl who calls me Claire Bear, and maybe, with a man who saved me without asking anything in return." The world was stunned. But something strange happened, people didn't mock her. They cheered. Claire began speaking at shelters for women in toxic relationships. She started a nonprofit using what little money she was able to retrieve from the frozen accounts. Mark helped her with logistics, while Emily proudly called her "my almost mom." And one warm evening, under a homemade arch in Mark's backyard with neighbors and Emily as the flower girl, Claire wore a second-hand white dress and married not a billionaire, but a man who once pulled over in the rain. They didn't have millions, but they had peace. They didn't make headlines, but they made a home. And as they danced under string lights, with fireflies flickering and laughter echoing into the night, Mark whispered in her ear, "I picked you up because I thought you needed saving. But it turns out, you saved us both." The message? Sometimes the richest love comes from the poorest places. And the right lift at the right time can change not just a direction, but an entire destiny.